know, one of the biggest things that I think when you really start thinking about the effectiveness of any type of bait you're fishing, or the way an angler fishes a multitude of baits, is your cadence and what you actually do with the bait. You know, not just top waters, but any bait. But when you specifically start talking about top waters, there's definitely different cadences that are going to work better throughout the course of the year. You know, when you get into that early springtime period, when those fish are coming up, when they first start getting interested in biting at top water, around that spawning period, you know, most of the time I'm going to use a fairly slow retrieve with anything I'm throwing. I want to keep that bait in the strike zone, so I'm going to walk that bait in place as much as I can. I want to hover that bait, you know, over a bed, or I want to hover that bait, you know, over the fish longer, because they're not going to be as quick to react to it. But it's something that you have to keep in mind throughout the course of the year and the time of year you're fishing. As the water temperature's warm and these fish get more aggressive and they start chasing a lot more, you've got to speed your retrieve up to match their mood. And especially in the summer and the fall, I mean, I feel like that's when you have to burn a lot of top waters. You know, whether you're talking about throwing a walking style bait like this Spro walking hane, or, you know, you've got to really speed it up and really get that bait moving to make those fish commit to it. There's so much shad and so many other things for those fish to be feeding on. You've got to do something different to your bait to make that fish want to commit to it. And you know, when all those bait fish are just swimming around in a water column, and then all of a sudden there's one on top, or a top water coming through them on top, making a loud commotion, I mean, that's what is going to create a reaction strike from those fish. And the same would go for a lot of different types of baits. You know, there may be times when I walk that bait slower around a piece of cover, but when I clear the cover, if I'm just fishing it down an open sandbar, or out over a point, or out over brush piles or timber, I want to keep that bait coming hard. Until I get that bait to the specific strike zone is about the only time that I might slow it down. But it can even be talked about when you start talking about something like a suicide buzz shad. I mean, there are so many different retrieves. I mean, there are times when I'm throwing a buzz shad that I'm literally just going to keep that bait coming. Every now and then I may pop it or something, but then there's other times where you may just want to gurgle that bait. And again, it kind of goes back to the time of year. Earlier in the spring, I think a much slower, more lethargic, slower retrieve is going to create bites, where in the fall, a more erratic retrieve, even with a bait like this suicide buzz shad, is going to be what it takes to really make one get the bait.